This podcast is brought to you by Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania. Buy one window or door and get the second one at 40% off. No money down, payments, or interest for 1 year for qualified buyers. Check this deal out by visiting rbacentralpadeals.com. That's rbacentralpadeals.com, or by calling 717-836-1080. Deal ends April 30th. Hey guys, got any thoughts on the stories covered here on Penn Live? Well, tell me all about them for listening to listeners, an upcoming Today in PA segment where I'll read those thoughts to make sure you have a say in the news. If you'd like to make your thoughts heard, email me at todayinpa@PennLive.com. That's todayinpa@PennLive.com with your name and where you're from, and I'll read it every other Friday starting May 12th. Excited to hear from you. Hundreds came out to protest a transgender event hosted by the University of Pittsburgh. Over in Philadelphia, a pothole fills with trash as officials debate who's responsible for fixing it. Pennsylvania is among the states that are the least impacted by dementia. And a lawnmower in the sky woke a bunch of people up the other day. I'm Claudia Dimuro, and you're listening to Today in PA. Hundreds of people protested outside the University of Pittsburgh's O'Hara Student Center during a debate titled, "Should Transgenderism Be Regulated by Law?" reports the Tribune Review. This podcast previously reported the backlash Pitt faced after the announcement of this event and other like it, featuring quote-unquote provocative speakers such as Daily Wire host Michael Knowles. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette continues to report how during the event, which featured Knowles debating journalist Brad Palumbo, protesters threw a quote-unquote incendiary device at officers and set a dummy with a picture of Knowles' face on fire outside. Others carried signs with statements like, quote, "No hate in Appalachia," unquote, and chanted, quote, "Trans rights are human rights." No arrests were made and no violent incidents were reported. There's a pothole in South Philadelphia that's not only large, but which periodically fills with trash, reports Fox 29. And as that pothole continues to be risky for both drivers and pedestrians, some of whom have actually fallen into the hole, the city's streets and water departments are going back and forth with regards to who's responsible for fixing it. The streets department, on their end, says the pothole is a quote-unquote cave-in left over from when the water department made repairs under the street. In response, the water department says the work that was finished there didn't involve tearing up the street whatsoever. The discussion between the two entities continues as of the recording of this episode, and the pothole remains. Senior Living Resource Seniorly recently published a report that found which states are the most impacted by dementia, states PennLive. Researchers pulled data from the CDC as well as the Alzheimer's Association to create this report and graded each state plus Washington, D.C. on factors such as share of older adults with worsening cognition. The top 3 states that saw the highest dementia impact were Louisiana, Alabama, and Texas in 3rd, 2nd, and 1st, respectively. As far as Pennsylvania goes, the state ranked 4th overall in being the least impacted by the disease. D.C. was number 1 in this regard. People in southern York County were jolted awake by a very loud noise in the wee hours of Tuesday morning, says Fox 43. Those in Red Lion to Glen Rock to Stewartstown all went online to see if anyone else heard the strange sound, an explosion that one person described as sounding like a, quote, lawnmower in the sky. That's an image. Fox 43 reached out to York Airport to see if maybe they could give a little insight, with an airport operations manager explaining it could have been certain types of planes. For now, the sound remains a mystery, and what's life without a little unknown every once in a while? That wraps up today's episode. For more news, visit PennLive.com. And please don't forget to rate this podcast in either Apple or Amazon, and to maybe even leave it an honest review, if you can. Thanks in advance. And as always, thanks for listening. I'm Claudia Dimuro, and I'll see you for Friday's episode of Today in PA. This podcast is brought to you by Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania. Buy one window or door and get the second one at 40% off. No money down, payments, or interest for 1 year for qualified buyers. Check this deal out by visiting RBACentralPADeals.com. That's RBACentralPADeals.com, or by calling 717-836-1080. Deal ends April 30th.